Hey guys, so I just finished watching Pet Sematary on 4K, the remake from the 1989 classic and based on the Stephen King novel of the same name. This one was a fairly decent remake. So whenever I'm watching a movie, I often pull out the phone, go into the Internet Movie Database and just have a look at what other people are saying about the film. This one wasn't getting a lot of positive reviews from the users out there. A lot of people were calling it boring. They weren't enjoying it, thought it was dull, they wanted to bury the disc in the Pet Sematary. So yeah, I wasn't feeling a lot of love. But when I saw those initial trailers, there was about 3 of them, I think, I was really digging the vibe. Like, it felt like they were keeping pretty true to Stephen King's vision and still paying respect to that older film from the 80s, and yet doing its own thing by changing a few things up and surprising the viewer. So I actually didn't mind this film at all. So the movie is directed by Kevin Kolsch and Dennis Widmeyer. They had a really good story here. I mean, Stephen King's novel is a classic. I don't really remember much about the novel itself, but that old Pet Sematary film from 1989 starring Dale Midkiff, Denise Crosby, and Fred Gwynne of Monsters fame, I have seen a lot of times. I enjoy it. It's fun, it's creepy, and it really does have a soft spot in my heart. I've watched that for a number of years. And then they did part 2 with Eddie Furlong. Not so much. But that first film, yeah, it definitely had its flaws. It felt like a made-for-TV movie, so the suspense wasn't really there too much, although the performances were good, especially from the kid. Mika Hughes, who played Gage Creed in that original film, was only like 2 or 3 years old at the time, was really menacing. Like, the slasher of the film was a baby, and they did a good job creating that menace and that fear. But still, the film does feel kind of cheap. But I love it, it's endearing. But this new one, man, I had a real sense of dread the whole way through it, and the cast was good. So we have got Jason Clarke as Lewis. I love this guy, he's an Aussie actor, and he appears in a lot of films that I really enjoy, and he is usually the best thing in that film as well. He's a consummate professional, and I really enjoy his work. So seeing him in this film, I'm always happy to see him here. Amy Seimetz plays Rachel. She was cool as the wife. And then we have John Lithgow. So having John Lithgow in the role of Judd, previously played by Fred Gwynne in that first film, which was just iconic. They couldn't have picked a better actor as far as I'm concerned. I love John Lithgow. And the funny thing is, I just recently watched him in the Cliffhanger film with Sylvester Stallone. 4K was just released. Over 20 years ago, that film was made. So having John Lithgow in that film, then seeing him somewhat aged significantly in this one was quite jarring. But I always love what he brings to the role. And just for all those trivia buffs out there, both Jason Clarke and John Lithgow have both been in a Planet of the Apes films, the new one. John Lithgow was in the first film and Jason Clarke was in the sequel, and it's an amazing trilogy, so check those out, just hot tip. And then we have got Jete Lawrence, who played Ellie, and then little twin babies, Hugo and Lucas Lavoie, playing Gage. Now, I'm not going to go too far into spoilers. If you read the book and you've seen the previous movie, you pretty much know what's going to happen, and the trailers did reveal a lot. So one of the big twists in this film, and like I said, it's not spoilers, it's in the trailer. In that original film, Gage, the little baby boy, is the one that gets hit by the truck, and then his father brings him back, and he's a zombie baby. This one, they mixed it up. Gage has got an older sister, Ellie. She's the one that dies in this film, and they bring her back. So they've definitely aged up the zombie character in this one, which is an interesting take, because in that first film, he's just a baby. He couldn't communicate in any way, even as a zombie. There was no real character arc from him from the beginning to end. It was just a kid. But this one, Ellie, we do spend a lot of time with Ellie before she dies, so we do get that connection with her. We get to see the family relationships, the bond, and how much they all love each other. So when she does die, you can see and feel the devastation on the parents' face, particularly Jason Clarke as Lewis. The way that he responds, he's just a man so distraught with grief that he just can't let go. So we, as the audience, spend some time with Ellie, we get an attachment, and then when she comes back as the zombie Ellie, there is some interplay between her and her father. There is a communication. She can talk, and she kind of even asks the question halfway through the film when she returns, am I dead? There's a bit of a talk between them earlier in the film where they talk about life and death, having just lost the family cat, Church, who plays an integral role in this one as he did in the first one. That creepy cat. So I found that the characters were a little bit more nuanced in this film. The performances were very, very good. Look, I really appreciate Dale Midkiff and Denise Crosby, but I just feel like the performances in this one were a lot better, and the budget. The film has got a lot of money behind the scenes, so it looks good as well. And you can't talk about a Pet Sematary film without talking about the creepy sister Zelda. I found Zelda was more creepy in that original film. Rachel's sister Zelda died at a young age from spinal meningitis, which is a horrible, horrible disease, but they really kind of made it quite horrific and monstrous in these films. She's confined to her bed, she's deformed, she's miserable, she's really, really sick, but she is, well, in the film and in the books, it's about terrifying a little girl. Her little sister is looking after her, and it's her responsibility to feed her. Her parents leave her alone all the time with this sister who's very sick. And from the point of view of this young girl, this is a very terrifying thing to see happen to her sister, and that's the angle the movie takes as well. So Zelda in the first one was creepy, and this one, she's more sympathetic, I found. But yeah, for the scares, yeah, they were definitely there. Now, the film itself, good story. I did find this film just dripping with atmosphere. I was creeped out all the way through it. A few jump scares as well with those fucking trucks. Man, just that's how the girl's gonna die. She's gonna get hit by a truck. So just showing the peril and the dangerous ferocity of these trucks just cruising down the highway at the front of the house. Man, they got me about 3 or 4 times with that. So for jump scares, well done, Pet Sematary. Got me real good. So yeah, the film's full of really good performances. I found the story very engaging. It felt very faithful to Stephen King's words, and I just kind of really enjoyed it. So I'm not one of those people that found it boring. It's definitely a slow burn, but I was fully engaged with the story the whole way through. And when we know when the horror's about to start kicking in, man, I was just feeling supremely anxious. I was so worried for everyone in the film, because the film took the time for you to get to know the characters and to become invested. So that's what a good horror story does. You like the characters, you don't want to see anything happen to them, and when it does, it really is quite horrific. So Pet Sematary 4K is beautiful, so the HDR really does shine in this. It's a muted film. It's not overly bright and colourful. There's a lot of greys and blacks, but those inky blacks are beautiful. You can see every single detail, and a lot of the scenes where it's set at night and you got lights in the background or in the foreground always look beautiful and luminescent. The detail in the costumes and the faces and the dirt and the blood and the guts, yeah, it stands out quite beautifully. So once again, the 4K HDR is a sensational transfer. This is a very clean film, and it looks gorgeous. So if you're choosing between 4K or Blu-ray, depending on your capabilities at home, definitely go for the 4K because it looks great. And the sound design, got the speakers behind me, super boomy. All those trucks, man, there's a reason why I jumped out of my chair a dozen times. It was super loud and scared the hell out of me. So anyway, guys, that's my review. Have you seen Pet Sematary? What do you think? What do you like better, the first one or the new remake? I know Hollywood's doing a lot of remakes all the time, but sometimes remakes surpass the original. And I think this one is better than the first one, although I do love the first one dearly because it's sentimental to me. I grew up watching it, and a nice bit and polish can sometimes just boost a remake up quite nicely. Stephen King movies are getting revisited a lot. We have got It Chapter 2 coming out soon as well. So I was very excited to see Pet Sematary. I missed it at the theatre. I was bummed as. So when I saw it on the shelf at the shops the other day, I was quite happy to pick it up, and I couldn't wait to watch it today. So I thoroughly enjoyed it. I was not disappointed. Anyway, guys, catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching.